Mpesa is the Swahili word for money. It's also an incredibly successful mobile money transfer system launched in 2007 and working across Africa, Afghanistan and India as an alternative to visiting a local bank branch. It enables deposits and payments using a mobile phone, and Tim Murdoch explains how it all works and its importance in emerging countries.
So our aim is to allow people to use SMS to be able to move money around. And this money may be $10, it may be $5, but it represents a huge proportion of what they earn on a daily basis or a weekly basis. And the idea being is you use any mobile phone using SMS and an application that sits on the SIM to safely move your money around. So as a Cambridge company, we were working with Vodafone on a number of different projects anyway. We were working on projects that would allow you to design a mobile phone to be better, to be easier to use. And we were working with those same individuals who had this vision to make a difference. And so they put out an RFP, they put out a usual contract request for people to be interested in bidding for the work. And we bid for that work, and we bid not because we were telecommunications experts or that we were banking experts, but we just had a vision for innovation to be able to make it work. And I think that innovation piece is the reason that we won the business initially and that we were able to build on the opportunity. The project wasn't a big one in the early days. It was to build a platform that could be piloted, could be tried out by about 500 people in Kenya. And so clearly we couldn't afford to have a large team on it. And that was both very painful because there's a lot to do with a very small number of people, but actually it was almost certainly one of the reasons why it became so successful. We had a team of about 4 or 5 people within Sygentia, working very closely with about 2 people within Vodafone, and there's another group of people from Consult Hyperion which were advising as well, bringing some financial expertise there. And that small group of people was all it was for the first probably 2 years of the project, of building the pilot platform and then running it and operating it remotely from here in the UK, working very closely with the guys in Kenya and Safaricom to actually then obviously do the on-the-ground support for that project. Yeah, and I think the real challenge was to understand what it is we were trying to do for people who had no idea what a phone was like. So we had this big gap. We hadn't lived in Africa particularly. We had a South African on our team, but we hadn't really sort of lived in the nature that our African target user market was going to be. So we had to really understand them, and also they'd never seen a phone before and not really played with electronic money. So they didn't know what to do either. So what we had to do is we had to provide a platform, some way that both parties would learn and would understand as much as we needed to about the other party. So we had to understand how the technology works. We had to explain that in a way that was usable by people who'd never seen a phone before. And we had to engage with them and understand their lives and actually how they moved money around, what was important to them, how they pooled together to be able to share security for each other's loans and so on. So that learning was probably the biggest challenge, and that's not a technology challenge. That is a people challenge, and that really was the big lesson for us, is that we focus not on the technology, but we focus on the people and what they need to be able to execute that. When we started, we rolled this out as a platform for 500 people, just to try it out to learn. When we launched it in spring 2007, and we sort of started to see a slow uptake. We only had 250 shops in Kenya that could take the money, and we were thinking this is going to be a bit slow, no one's going to really understand it or get it. And then towards the end of that year, 2007, I'm not sure if you remember, there was the presidential elections happened, and there were some real problems in Kenya. And there were enough people on the platform by then that even though all the shops were closed and you couldn't buy airtime on a scratch card for Safaricom, you were able to use Mpesa to buy someone else's airtime. And suddenly people realised that Mpesa was alive in a way that everything else was being closed down. And that was probably the breakthrough moment, I think, that it became more than just a product, more than just a technology. It became a service that people could rely on. And I think by the end then of the first 12 months after we'd launched in 2007, we had about 1 in 10 Kenyans, I reckon, to use the system, which is an astonishing feat just on a new product that no one really knew about beforehand. Okay, we had the really good backing of Safaricom with a fabulous brand to make it work. We'd achieved this sort of 10% penetration of people using it. And now we're in a place where, and these are figures that I almost can't believe anymore, so I only quote those that I can see written down, and typically The Economist is where I see it. So 43% of the entire GDP of the country is now flowing through Mpesa. And that's just in a very, very short period of time. It's had a massive impact, very positive impact on the economy there. For engineers in Cambridge, we develop lots of stuff. But rarely does the stuff that we deliver have a social, global, mass market impact. And when it does, it's just it's an amazing experience. And that for us, the entire team actually, that was a very positive outcome from the project. Now clearly, Mpessa's big impact has been in the country and around the world for that particular market, that particular industry. But for those who are involved in that project, it's something we'll never forget. It's something we'll always treasure as an output, if you like, as an outcome. What we really had a vision for right from the outset, and I think it's really beginning to show now, is that if you have money on your phone, and if I look after my personal identity, my PIN number on my phone regularly, and it's alive and it's up to date, it's a platform for revolution in many, many different areas. So, for example, there's a lovely project which has been rolled out by some of the original team from Mpesa called Mpesa. And that is putting a solar panel on the roof of a house without any electricity. And that solar panel is often very expensive to buy, but it's really important to the individual, and it will deliver them light, and it will deliver them the ability to charge their mobile phones, for example. And Mpesa is about how do you pay as you go? How do you rent that hardware rather than have to pay for it? It makes it accessible to people who are only earning $2, $5, $10 a day and so on. Rather than having to buy hundreds of dollars worth of equipment, they can rent it on per use. So we are really pleased to see something like Mpesa become a platform for a social innovation, which is extraordinary in many, many areas.
You're probably sitting or standing somewhere in Cambridge watching this on a mobile phone, so we hope these films have inspired you. Collusion would love to see your Cambridge Invents interviews. Maybe you have an invention to share, or you know someone who does. You can use the hashtag Cambridge Invents to share your films with us, and also to tweet us about other Cambridge inventions you'd like us to profile.